Yes.
Do you think, like, there's the story in your head and it's so beautiful that you're almost afraid to commit it to words? Is there a time that you know that you're done processing and you're ready to commit and you need to get that try? And how do you know when that time is? Because I have a lot in my head and I can't get it out.
I'm glad you asked that question. I used to have a big problem with that because before I came to understand the criteria that a story needs for me, I would walk around and I would see stories everywhere. They are everywhere. You see beautiful children saying and doing amazing, interesting, funny things all over the place. And adults too, because now I'm open to writing more for adults. And I didn't know how to narrow it down because I'm very good at playing what if. I think I might have told this story last year, but it's a true story. I went into a grocery store to buy some paper towels. It was very embarrassing. Went in to buy paper towels. One thing, a normal person could buy paper towels, not me. I went in, there were two young people buying paper towels. The man said, we need paper towels. The woman took them off the shelf. I followed them because I suddenly was going, what if they didn't buy the paper towels? What if there was a flood? What if he goes off to work? The sink starts to drip. She needs paper towels. She can't get them. She has to go into the garage because she knows that when he left college, he had a box of towels. And she goes in and she finds them, and buried in the towels, what if there was a letter? And then that letter, she finds out he was married before, and he has a child, a secret love child. So now I am way in the frozen food section eyeing these people, and I'm trying to decide ethically, should I tell her? Should I break the news to her? And I swear to you, I was out in the parking lot before I went, whoa, whoa. And I didn't have my paper towels. So, but now I do know. Now I know there are two things that have to happen for me to make a story right. Well, three things happen, and then I know I better write this story. One is, I have to have come up with a character that I asked myself, would you take a bullet for this person if this person were real? When the answer is yes, okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I've come to find is that I will not stick with a story for a whole year. I will not give it my heart unless there's a sense of injustice that really bothers me. Something bad has happened. Meryl knows the story of, you don't have a copy of Sparrow Girl, do you?
Not here. I can bring it tomorrow.
Okay. Meryl gave me the seed of a story that I wrote a few years ago. She was walking with me. She told me this story that she had learned about what happened in China, about how all the sparrows were killed and children had to help do it. The Mao Zedong made kids, and everybody but children too, kill all the sparrows in China. I couldn't stop thinking about this. It was so wrong to make children do it, so wrong to do. It was called the Great Sparrow War. It ended up in a huge famine. It was a terrible, terrible thing. Anyway, I need a sense of injustice. I have to feel that I'm writing an injustice, even in a fantasy way. And I'll tell you something really interesting about this. I went to Washington State. There was a conference there, a children's lit conference. We were asked give a keynote speech on why you do what you do. Why do you write for children? And Brian Selznick was there, the invention of Hugo Cabret. Kadir Nelson, who won his Caldecott for the beautiful book on We Are the Ship, you know that one, the Negro Baseball Leagues. And I was there. And we all got up. We didn't talk about what our speeches were, but Kadir got up and said, I do what I do every day because I am compelled to find something that was ugly and to make it beautiful. And Brian got up and said, I do what I do every day because I have an internal compulsion to take randomness and turn it into order. And I got up without talking to them and I said, I do it because I have to find a place of injustice and I have to make it right on these pages. I have to do or say the right thing. And we were all saying the same thing. It's not ordered, it's wrong, it's not beautiful, whatever. We have to correct it. That's why I do it. And I don't care if anyone ever reads the books. That's not what it's about. It's about every day, I'm going to fix this thing that's wrong. With Clementine, it was wrong how my kid was treated, how I treated my kid, saying, pay attention, pay attention. He was paying attention. We should have been valuing those kids because those kids are empathetic, they're artistic, they're great problem solvers, instead of saying, stop distracting us, stop being so active. So that had to be right. My adult novel is about the Lebensborn program, how the Nazis came and took children. They took children away from mothers who had been impregnated by the German invading soldiers. It's always about that. So that's what it takes for me. And the other thing it takes is, if I cannot stop, if I can't put it away, the third thing is, sometimes I'll say, no, 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 I can't handle that book. I don't have the skills for it. It's not the right direction for me right now, but I can't stop thinking about it. I have a book now. I'm going to be starting, I've started it actually. It's the same way. It's about war. On one level, it's about war. On another level, it would be about, it's ferrets. Ferrets, believe it or not, a colony of ferrets. I cannot stop thinking about these ferrets who witness a human war and decide to do something about it. What can they do? These little creatures who, of course, represent children. So those three things for me. I think you might have to find your own three things or your own thing. Because for me, it's more about narrowing down the choices than chasing something that I want to write about. It's narrowing down the field to what I really should write about. Yeah.
I have another question. How much do you stick to the outcome rather than the process? Does the story take a life of its own?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How much do you allow it to?
I think of it like a ladder. I always allow it to. I certainly would allow it to. Very interesting balance. And in fact, that's a big discussion. That's always been a big discussion with all the writers I know, is the balance between craft and intuition is one way to do it. Your muse will take you and you can let go and you can have all these amazing thoughts and they're really random or beautiful or really escapist, and there can be flashes of genius there. But on the other hand, if you don't corral them with a really strong sense of craft and structure and character development, then what you're going to have is a bunch of, random wispy things. And yet, if you don't go that way, if you are a slave to, nope, this has to happen next, and this has to happen next, and this has to happen next, then you have something without juice or joy. So it's it's an interesting balance. I think that I love the craft. It's so much easier for me to work at the craft of it, that I might do more of that. And I'm searching for the intuition, so when that comes, when I get a flash, I don't know, I can't judge myself against other people. I only know myself. But I do know that both things are important. And I do know that if I think something's going to happen and then we're going this way, I'm pretty good about saying, ooh, you know best. You characters know best. That's the way you're supposed to think of it, I think, is that this story exists outside you in an alternate universe, maybe, however it is that helps you think of it. I like to think that Clementine and her family, for instance, they actually do exist. They had a life before I ran into them. Clementine was a baby once. All that stuff went on. And what I'm trying to do is find a window in to crack this universe that isn't real and that I can't really get into. And if I do crack it, my job is just take notes as fast as I can, not to create that universe, but to imagine it exists and take notes about it as faithfully and kindly as I can. So I support going with whatever happens. Stephen King, in his book on writing, very good book, by the way, very, very good book about the craft of writing. He says in it, the story is the boss. And for me, I have that written up. It's a Zen cone. It just gets more and more meaningful as I try to unravel those simple words. The story is the boss. What it means is every single time I come into something that I don't understand or I'm crashing into a wall, the answer is, what does your story need? What do you think you need to do? Forget that. What does your story need you to do? And that helps me.